I'm Matt.
I'm Shane.
And if you like what you hear, make sure you hit that thumbs up button real hard and make sure you subscribe to Comic Movie Marks.
And also click that little bell for all of the notifications.
Whee!
Always remember,
If Trailer Trash can do it,
anyone can do it.
hello and welcome everyone to another Comic Movie Marks video.
Today we are answering the all-important question of who the fuck was the Russian family in Justice League?
Well, we had that little confusion by Snyder on Vero where he was baffled by the Russian family being in Justice League, and that was just a great response overall. But now Joss Whedon has come out and actually talked about the Russian family himself, which is kind of interesting. One, that it was on Vero, and then somebody actually wanted to talk to this asshole about the Russian family.
Yeah, pretty much it. So the article we're going off of is from BatmanNews.com. Was released about 3 days ago on the 26th as we're recording. And basically Thrillist published a huge interview with major players at Marvel who worked on the first two Avengers movies, and obviously one of them was Joss Whedon. It's a pretty extensive interview. Pretty cool if you're interested in Marvel. But the fortunate thing for us, BatmanNews.com pulled out some important quotes that kind of...
The one you care about, anyway.
Yeah, that kind of tie into the Russian family and his mindset with Avengers Age of Ultron.
Batman on News here. They started out with, remember the Russian family in Justice League? No one gives a shit other than the bug spray. We see them sheltered in their home before trying to escape the parademon invasion by truck. God, that just sounds so stupid when you say it out loud. The plot line seemed a little out of place. Almost kind of random. Yeah. But this new interview with Whedon makes it crystal clear as why he added civilians during the Justice League reshoots. Here's what he had to say about wanting to do the same thing as his Avengers movies.
So Joss Whedon says the only stuff we shot that really wasn't useful was stuff I shot. I shot
everything.
I shot probably 3 days in both films tracking civilians because I was like, these guys have superpowers. Then they're the Avengers. Nobody's going to worry about them. The audience is going to want to know these civilians better. And the answer was always like, no, they don't. No, they fucking don't.
He was talking about the Avengers, though. When I see the only stuff we shot that really wasn't useful,
Yeah.
It just makes me think all of the shit we shot
for Justice League. Exactly.
He was talking about Avengers in that, but yes. So then it continues. His next comment was about superheroes helping civilians on the ground level, which again mirrors some of his scenes from Justice League. We see the Flash and Superman break away from the Steppenwolf fight to help the people in Russia.
So Joss Whedon says, but what is it like for people on the ground? That's always going to be important to me. Like, there's Hawkeye helping people off the bus. You have to have somebody who works on the ground level who's taking care of the smaller stuff.
You need a useless guy.
Exactly. We probably had half an hour's worth of the fight of the Avengers versus the Chitauri. We had so much more that we could use, but pulling the kid out of the bus, it was in, then it was out. Then it was in, then it was out. And then my daughter was like, we should have that. I'm like, yeah, actually, okay, it's in. I just fucking... When I first read this, that was one of my favorite parts because I picture his daughter being like 9. I have no idea how old she is. She could be an adult, but I picture her being like 9 and her going, Dad, we should have that in. And he goes, yeah, actually, okay, it's in. And just fucking throwing that in the movie because his 9-year-old daughter said.
Yeah, exactly, because that's the demographic, right?
Right, exactly.
So, of course, it's very telling. Again, we actually brought this up when it came to that confusion about the Russian family, that Whedon added it in, and that it was not necessarily even just a Whedon trope. It was kind of a film trope where they actually do this a lot, where they try to I called it a glorified extra that they'll focus on predominantly at one point, and then that one gets saved or it just escapes or it gets killed or something like that. They focus on one individual. It really doesn't have a name, but they focus on those individuals to kind of bring them a little bit into the movie so you could actually give a little bit of a shit about them.
Yeah, and in some cases it is done rather well. For me, it's usually pets when there's like I always remember the movie Dante's Peak, like way back in the day, and I was always worried about the dog. So
Independence Day.
Yeah, Independence Day, exactly. So in some cases it does work.
La-la!
But
I don't even remember the dog's name. I just know how she sounded.
La-la! Yeah, exactly. In some cases, yeah, it makes you care, I guess. But the annoying part about the trope is as soon as they introduce, and I'll use the Justice League example, as soon as the Russian family gets introduced, you know that they're going to be a pivotal plot point at some point in the movie where you're like, okay, we know that we're getting introduced to this family, and then something's going to happen with them. So it just becomes so predictable, and that's why it's a frustrating and annoying movie trope.
Exactly. And plus, it doesn't make sense. Why are these parademons on top of their house? Why are they just chilling? Like, aren't parademons supposed to go after people to make them parademons? Like, isn't that the whole idea of the fear and shit and all that crap that they were trying to set up in the movie? That's why Batman used the one criminal as bait. But yet, here's this scared family. They're just chilling outside the house, standing on the roof. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, why are they there? Why are they just chilling in this area? It just doesn't make any sense. And then, of course, the breaking down of the truck is, of course, it's got to break down, right?
Yep, exactly. Another movie trope.
And it's just a really poorly done trope. Now, if you look back at Man of Steel, for instance, that is how you show the people on the ground level that you could actually give a shit about, is when it comes to Perry White and Jenny Olsen and that other dude, the bald pedophile-looking guy. That's when it actually matters, because the world engine is, doing all that shit. And they're trying to save her, and they're trying to execute it. They're trying to get out of there. They kind of accept what their fate's going to be because they're not getting out of there. Superman eventually blows up the world engine, and it saves the day. It saves them, at least. You could feel that because you can look at Perry White's eyes. You can look at Jenny's eyes, and you could see, like, all right, this is it. That's how you do it. That's how you show ground level shit right there. That's how you do it. Not just some dumb girl with bug spray. That's not how you do it. It's execution. That's what it comes down to, is execution.
Dostoevsky.
And you can't just throw in a family that doesn't make any sense and expect it to be pulled off well. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't get the full connection with the Russian family, and I mean, I guess I can kind of understand his approach to it, but as you said, when you look at Jenny and Perry White, and there's kind of there's a fear of like, holy shit, and then eventually they come to the realization like, oh no, we're fucked, but we're here together, we're with each other, and Perry White knows, yep, we're about to get taken out, and then they're saved, as opposed to where the attempt at the connection is, hey, here's a family that we're just going to randomly introduce. You should care about them because they're a family. And then they're going to be put in harm's way. And then, the truck breaks down. And so then something has to happen and they get saved. And then you're supposed to have a connection with them. It's like, why? Because they're a family? Okay. It just doesn't. It would be, again, using Man of Steel as an example, it would be like if Zack Snyder decided to introduce the family that's about to get lasered down by Zod, and they're just randomly there, and then
great example,
and then he eventually, you're like, oh, okay, there's that same family later. No, he just says, here's just a random group of people, like that's gonna happen. It doesn't take anything away from it or really add to it. It's just, holy shit, he's about to kill some innocent people. That's all you need. You don't need to be introduced and add additional scenes just for the point of it. And it is random. As the guy who was writing this article, oh yeah, it seems a little out of place. It fucking is in Justice League. It is really out of place. Where you're like, okay, I know this is going to be a part later in the film.
We talked about this in our Avengers review, is that this focus on the Avengers saving people. And we talked about that. Like, is that what kind of separates the Avengers from Man of Steel in some people's eyes when it came to the destruction and the death and everything? Because both movies came out roughly a year within each other and had some similar destruction. Mm-hmm. Man of Steel a little bit more than ever. But so was it the fact that people were more accepting of the Avengers stuff because it showed them, like as you said, a Hawkeye saving some kids off a bus. It shows Captain America saving this random group of people that are stuck in this little rotunda looking thing. Is that what really made that movie more acceptable in this case compared to Man of Steel? Or was it just a bunch of trolls being a bunch of dickheads? I don't know.
The latter.
It's kind of an interesting thing. I feel like Avengers kind of executes it a tiny bit better. I still found it really annoying because they kept throwing back to it over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's constantly being shoved in your face. They're trying to save people. They're trying to save. Plus, they also make the cops pretty useless in that shit, and they make the military pretty useless too.
Right.
So that's why it works. That's why it has to be an Avenger, because the cops are just idiots and shit like that in this case, and same with the military as well. Ultimately, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments section. I believe on the last time we talked about this, there was one guy that actually did like the Russian family. He felt it did bring some, I don't know if humility was the word that he used or not, but that he did like the Russian family. It did help, break away from the big action that was happening in the final battle. So I know he would prefer it, but anybody else? Let us know what you think. Do you think Avengers did it better than Justice League? I was about to call it Justice League.
It is.
Did maybe the Russian family work for you? Did it not? I don't know. Let us know in the comments section. In case I don't see you.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. You're one of very few to make it to the end.
Yes, thank you very much.
Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Comic Movie Marks Podcast and hit the notification bell. All these fucking YouTube channels say this shit, so I'm going to say it now.
Yes, it's perfect. And if you want to hear our full podcast, you can check out our podcast on iTunes or any other podcast subscription service.
Make sure you subscribe. Thanks again.